All right, so what we're going to do here, we've backtracked again, backtracked ourselves. We're basically right where we started the last segment, and we're just kind of running alongside. You can see this has kind of been sort of pounded into a trail, but again, this is all part of the yard here at Jellicoe. And you can see that there's all kinds of debris. I'm just sort of passing spikes and things like that. There's quite a number of things to see on this side. So we were just over there in the previous segment. All right, sorry, I had to backtrack here because one of the things I was going to show you, I rode right by because I was so engrossed in trying to fill you in with what's happening. So you'll notice the metal sign with the D marking on there. That is a derail sign. So basically usually indicates the end of a spur in a yard and things like that. So very, very common in places like this. So as I was trying to say before, you'll notice all the debris here, all bits of ties here. You can see some tie plates. There's spikes all over the place. There's wood, there's metal. You can see these big pits here. You can see more ties in there. One of the things that's interesting about this rail line, and I kind of noticed it as we were doing sections around this area, so to the east and then as well to the west, is it looked like they dug ballast alongside the rail line, and this is a prime example here. You can see these areas where they've dug out all of this sand-like material, and I actually found a reference for that. So in 1917, or it was published in 1917, so not long after the railway line was opened, basically there was a geological study that was done on this area, essentially right from Long Lac to Orient Bay. And basically they were taking a look at the geology here along the rail line, and one of the things they mentioned was the fact that they did dig ballast, did dig gravel alongside the grade. And so I'll flash that up on the screen for you. And then you can see all kinds of metal in here, reins of barrels. I do apologize for the hurricane winds here. I'll try to talk a little louder. And so here, a few things here. You can actually see these are the rubber mattings that you oftentimes see underneath between the tie plates and the ties. You see that a lot on bridges and things like that. I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if that's railway related. Over here, so I mentioned earlier that there were two poles running alongside the grade, and so one was a telegraph line and one was a power line. So there's one of the insulators from the power line. And so here again you can see all kinds of metal remains. You can see more of these pits. Again, we're kind of in a bit of a, you know, an old sort of river valley here, and so you see lots of these sort of gravel deposits, and so they would have obviously made good use of them to aid in the construction of the railway line, or the maintenance, repair of the railway line. Here you can kind of see that some of these places have kind of turned into a little bit of a garbage dump, I guess. So here we're going to pause I do need to do a battery change, but so I'm going to flash that map up again of the railway yard here back in 1914. And if you go on my website, so there's a link in the description of the video, and you're going to see a map of this area in 1926, but I'll show you that 1914 one. And basically you're going to see the main tracks here, and you're going to see all kind of the yard here and all the side tracks and everything. You're going to see here, roundabout here somewhere, there's basically a track that branches off, and that's the track that's going to run up to the coal tower on one side, the water tank, and then the turntable and the roundhouse. All right, so we've moved ourselves a little bit further to the west. What we're going to do right now is we're going to jump back on the main track, and then what we're going to do in a subsequent segment is we're going to basically follow where this line that ran up to the coal tower, the water tank, to the roundhouse. We're going to follow that after. So we'll cut across here. So here you can see yet more of all of the lines and things that used to be here. You can see that there's a tie, and there's ties located right there. You can always kind of tell where the line was located. You get the nice ballast. This ballast was laid down in 1982. It was part of a major sort of renovation of the line. And prior to that, the ballast was all that gravel material that we talked about, just basically like what we would call sort of pit run gravel. All right, we're beside the station here, kind of a neat little find. I don't know what this is supposed to be. You can see that there's a metal pole. It's one of the old school style poles that looks like it's a pipe that's been kind of fashioned into a pole. There's a yellow sign here. I don't know what the yellow sign means, but basically behind it there is a, if I do it on this side here, you can see in the sun, there's a flanger sign. There's a this is bolted on top of the flanger sign, so I don't know if it's something to supersede the flanger sign. I'll have to find out that. So here this is just a piece of tie. And so here, right here, used to be the railway station, and so this was basically the end or the junction of the two rail lines. What that thing is, I'm sitting on the tie plate. So basically you had originally the Long Lake subdivision that came this way, and then essentially you had the Nipigon subdivision that ran that way. And then eventually, as we mentioned, that this became from 1925 till 1960, this was the Kinghorn. And then that way from 1925 to 1960, that was the Dorion subdivision. And again, in 1960, they were all merged together. And so here essentially was the station. So right here was the station building. And again, if you click on the link in my description, the link in the description of the video, basically you will see information about this. I don't know what that belongs to, but you will see information about the station. You will see pictures. I've been very gracious to have some pictures that were donated to me or allowing me to post them of the station here. And so here, basically you can see part of a cement foundation. I'm not sure what this is part of here. You can see that there's bolts that are sticking out of there. That's cement, or if that's a rock. Might be cement. Yeah, there's all kinds of chunks of cement here. Again, I don't know what these were. I don't know what these were for. These are part of a foundation. Yeah, you can see there's all kinds of cement that's here. And in here, there's a sign over there, and it says caution, septic field. And so I'm guessing that's a septic field for the modern bunkhouse, which is over there. But I'm sure that there was some sort of septic, eventually some sort of septic things for the station that was located here as well. I don't know if there's anything located over here. Some bits of metal, looks like pieces of a stovepipe. And so again, the station here would have been a fairly substantial station. Again, as a divisional point, you know, there was an anticipation that there was going to be a lot of sort of people moving back and forth. Unfortunately, as we've already mentioned, this line did not last very long. You can certainly see that there's a foundation here. So this might have been the part of the station here with all of this concrete that's lying around here. And so the station again really lost its importance after more metal here, after the opening of the Nakina cutoff. And then passenger service, as we've said on many times on these we've said many times on these explorations, as we'll say on many times in these explorations, passenger service on this line ended in 1956, and so really after this station really had no purpose, and I believe it lasted up until, or at least parts of it lasted up until the late 70s or the early 80s. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hop back up on the bike here and just continue our exploration to the west.